And just as you're talking, I'm realizing that I've taken it, because there's a lot in Advaita where they say, oh, look what you're doing, you know, oh, you stupid separate, they don't say this, but it comes off like, oh, look how you're being separate, you know, as if you just can click, you know, snap your fingers and not be separate. And at some point, I think it is almost like that, but you know, it's like, so I'm realizing in those situations that the judgment of myself is still incredibly strong. You know, how come I'm not more, how come I don't have more, you know, I don't have more equanimity, I don't have more distance, I don't have, that's what's going on, I realize a lot. And so, and I'm realizing what you're kind of saying is, you just go, yeah, you're really fucked right now. You're really stuck. You're really stuck in it right now, and just watch that.
Right.
Is that kind of
that is it? Yes, that's where you start. You start by being honest. You start by saying, "Here I am," and then you're not any. What's really beautiful about doing that, and this is not a blank check for you to wallow in it. Okay, this is far from that. What this is this is you finally being in the moment with it. Yeah, I'm fucked. This is stressful and this is painful. And then you're right here. If you really drop down and feel it with your full body, this is why I have these for everybody. This is why I do these exercises all the time. That you can stop, remember, aha, breathe, be here, and feel the full extent of that suffering or that separateness or that situation that you're in, and start right there and love it first. You can't get on with this stuff unless you love every little bit of it, even the stuff that hurts. So no, I'm not saying, why aren't you getting it? Why aren't you getting it? Just notice the noticer. It's a lot more messy than that. If I'm saying this to everybody, it's a lot more messy than the cool, quick myth of Zen Advaita, now you got it, now you don't, now you don't, now you got it. It's messier than that. And in that, and there needs to be, what is clean, what is neat, is, of course, when you can see it clearly and embody it, of course, is consciousness, sure. But up until that point, it can be a roller coaster ride. And so it's part of my job to acknowledge that, at least as who I am and the way that I teach, to acknowledge that in you, to say, yeah, man, that you're on a roller coaster ride. I feel for you. That sucks. And it's also, I want you to do that too, to be honest with yourself and say, boy, this is tough, you know. And then you're not battling it anymore. And then you find yourself in the moment with it and can be real with it. And then that's where the magic happens. It's in that moment where you're real with it, where you're back in your body, and then, uh-oh, what is there also? Look, there's consciousness, there's awareness. I'm not fighting it anymore. All parts of my being are there. If you noticed in the pictures that were, one of the things is those in step one, was this picture of the four parts of being a human: awareness, emotion, mind, and body. And it's in that moment when you say, God, yeah, I am feeling this suffering, and just being aware of it and being in the moment, that's when all, and breathing and noticing your body, that's when all four of those body parts go into one. And then all of a sudden you're all of them. And this is where the magic happens. This is where the integration happens, where the soil becomes fertile for the natural progression of awakening to take place. So it starts, this is why the Course started with honesty and self-acceptance and spiritual ache. Maggie, you're hitting, you've just hit a triple home run. You went right to it, and it's an absolutely beautiful thing. It's the perfect question. It starts with honesty. And it may seem counterintuitive because I'm asking you to do all sorts of things that it's like, well, I thought I was supposed to ignore the story. I thought I was supposed to not pay attention to it. Well, for once in your life, go ahead and really take a good, clear look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And allow it all the way in, because most of us are at war, we're pushing it away, and we're in denial of the full extent of the story. We're pushing it away. And until you own up to it, until you get real with it, it's going to remain hidden. It'll hide under the tiniest little speck. The ego and story is so good at that. So
that gives me something. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Maggie, for asking such a great question right off from the top.
I have something too to
Thank you.
Maggie, you said that you felt like you were terrified of your thoughts, and then another thought came in and said, it's just thought, right?
It's just what?
Just thought. You know, I'm terrified of my thoughts.
At the moment when I was thinking it, it was like, oh, that's just a thought.
And that is very perceptive because, yes, to be terrified of your thoughts, we should be terrified of our thoughts if we believe in them because they're making all our suffering. They're creating all our suffering. They create everything. They have enormous power that we've given to them. And at the same time, they're just thoughts. As long as we give them power, they have enormous power. I mean, they create our entire reality. You know, we can think life is beautiful, everybody's generous, and that's life. Or we can think it's dangerous out there, and everything's dangerous, and that is our life. That is exactly what we will see and will be our life. It's just thoughts that create that. So to be terrified of them is to have some respect for what they are when you have belief in them. They are extremely powerful. And yet at the same time, they're just thoughts. They really have no power of their own. And so those two things that you saw were really very insightful. You know, it's because that's exactly what's happening in your situation. The thoughts are controlling you, and you've given enormous belief to them, and at the same time you're looking and saying they're just thoughts. They're just thoughts. As they are, they have absolutely no power. They're just these little electrical, chemical things that are going off in your brain like clouds floating across the sky. They have absolutely no power. But when we have belief in them, they have all the power in the world. They have the power of God, basically. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you saw both parts of that story. Yeah, and both of those are true.
Is there anyone else who wants to chime in here?
I'll ask a question if that's okay.
Sure. Is it Bruce?
It's Bruce.
Hey,
yeah.
Bruce.
Hey. It seems to me that I don't even know how to describe this now. It seems to me what you're kind of describing and what it seems like a lot of this seems to be is that there's almost two parts of us. One part of us trying to stay asleep, and the other part trying to wake up. It seems like there's two, I don't know, essences. It's not even two voices. It's two intentions. One is constantly trying to hoodwink us, and the other is trying to say, no. I remember this isn't reality, and I do remember what reality is. And it seems like those two parts are always at war, or I don't know, duking it out or something.
That's why when you're on one side of the fence, it's called non-duality, and when you're on the other side of the fence, it's called duality. You're exactly right, Bruce. There's a part, yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, that's not really a question, I guess.
That's all right.
The question I had was, in your book you talk about magic something.
Yeah.
And this seems to be your sense of well-being, or maybe it's beingness itself. Maybe it's beingness without all of the illusion on top of it. Is that a way to describe it, or?
Magic something is just my non-spiritual term for spiritual awakening, and everything that spiritual awakening entails. And so magic something in the book has two characteristics, and I talk about these two characteristics throughout the teaching. I mention them in the orientation part of the course called Wing Spread, where essentially there are two parts to it. There's a day-to-day operational quality, and then there is a peak experience quality. So magic something for me sort of like is the totality of all of that, is the totality of living free, is the totality of knowing that you're of being unquestionably tethered to confidence and happiness and peace, unquestionably tethered to who you are, to truth, to consciousness. So this is what magic something is. I guess magic something also has to do with this. It's a mystery. Magic something. I don't know what it is. It's magical and it's something. This is also an acknowledgement of the fact that paradoxically, while I'm here talking about this stuff, while I am in touch with this unity and with this consciousness, I have no idea what it is, really. I have no idea. It's a beautiful, complete mystery. Does that answer?
The reason I asked is because so often it seems that, at least in the work I've been doing, I'm slowly realizing that thoughts, for example, are misleading. So are sometimes physical sensations. And yet, I think I've experienced what you're talking about when you refer to magic something. And it feels like a deep feeling in a way. Often when I let go of thoughts, that's what remains, is a very good feeling. And I'm just trying to get a sense of if that is magic something or if that is just another sensation to be let go of.
I think the way I talk about magic something is definitely spiritual awakening, is definitely the totality of it. But that's not to say that we all don't in this process have glimpses, have moments of opening, have periods of time where indeed we are experiencing magic something. Magic something, yes, Bruce, is really a return to the body where there's this equanimity physically, emotionally, mentally, and with conscious awareness itself. So if you're having those moments and, without the use of alcohol or drugs and yeah, you are doing something that is really great, and keep up the good work. Does that help?
It does. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, sure thing, man. Anybody else?
I would say from what Bruce said, I can feel that in you, Bruce. That
Oh, really?
the magic something. Yeah, absolutely. And it really only has to do with letting the thoughts go. Letting the thoughts go. The magic something's always here. It's always here whether we're thinking or not. It's never not here. So when the thoughts go away, then it's experience. It's a beautiful thing. It's beautiful. But it is always here for everybody. We can be the most lost and the most miserable in that, but that magic something is still there all the time. We're just completely unaware of it at that point.
That's what.
When Maggie, sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry. When Maggie was speaking earlier and was speaking about her frustration with teaching and that overwhelming feeling, the thought that struck me, it's just a thought that it struck me, was to let go of wanting to change it. It seemed to me, just listening to her, that the larger part of her frustration was coming from being frustrated and wanting to change it. And sometimes when I acknowledge that feeling is there and let go of wanting to change it, it releases on its own. And then that's when I tend to feel, as we were talking about, that magic something sort of shines through it somehow.
Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, no, that's just what Jeff was talking about. Yeah, to embrace whatever it is in that moment. The falsity of that will reveal itself, and the truth underlying that will reveal itself as long as we look straight at it. It's the resistance to it that keeps the the false suffering in place. And as long as we're resisting it, it's like the word, what you resist persists. So the resisting actually keeps it and holds on to it instead of resolving it and letting it go.
Well, I want to say I'm Maggie, and I just want to see, this is my fear, though, is that when I get told something like that, and then I'm in the situation and I can't, and it doesn't release, that just, then it's worse, because then I failed. You know, why, you know, I just, there's a, I feel like I have to be in the situation and not have to have it change at all. You know what I mean? It's not going to just go, it's not going to change it. You're going to feel just as bad, but go ahead and acknowledge it.
No, you won't feel just as bad. It's a...
Well, maybe I will, though, is what I'm saying.
Well, it could be, but you can't fail. So you can't fail. It's impossible for you to fail. So let go of the idea. Let go of the idea of failing, you know, at all. You can't fail. You're in this situation. Failing is just another thought, and that's creating a lot of problem for you. You're feeling that I'm going to fail. I better do it right. You can't keep on and off the television screen.
But I can't fail. I can. If you're telling me, oh, if you acknowledge it in the right way, the tension will release. To me, that's like, well, if that doesn't happen, then I failed. I'm just letting you know what the thought process is.
Yes, it is the thought process. Yeah, but that's also what's creating your suffering, that thought.
Of course.
About it failing, because this inner, magic something cannot fail. It doesn't fail. It doesn't even understand what failing even means. It's so far removed from what it is. And accepting what things are is exactly the first step. I mean, the very first step is you have to accept the way things are as they are, because that makes you present. You're resisting, you're not present. You're saying, I resist the present. I don't want this present moment. I resist reality. And you don't want to do that. You want to, be clear with it, exactly what's happening, because it's so important to work on yourself, because your peace is what's going to help your students.
Oh, yeah.
The absolute most important thing. So the more you do this, of course, the more you do exercise, the more you bring your own self to your understanding and your peace. There is something in you, in all of us, that is this underlying, unchangeable peace. It is there whether you experience it or not. It is still there. It is still there with everybody, right in your heart. If your thoughts, sort of rest for a while and relax, you will experience what's underneath there, and that's what that is. It's this underlying peace. And your goal and everything is so perfect. To be teaching, 10th graders and to want to bring this peace to them is so beautiful. I mean, it's just such a beautiful thing. That is your inner true being manifesting in this. Your desire to do this is coming directly from that. You're totally in alignment with your true self in doing this. Your frustration is your mind coming in and saying, no, I'm failing, I can't do it. And that this inner drive for that is not doing that at all. It just knows it's going to succeed. It's inevitable. Once the mind sort of relaxes and steps out of the way, it's going to happen. It sounds so simple, from what I'm saying it, but it's only the resistance that's creating it. And going through the resistance, that's not so simple. It's a letting go, a chipping away, a willingness to say, I'm not failing. I'm not a failure. I'm not going to fail. Just letting those thoughts go. And just allowing this inner thing, which is not a thought and cannot even be thought, cannot even be described, but to just have faith and just allow that to come forward, because it is coming forward. I feel that your desire to do this for your students and with your students is very much coming from that exact same place. So it's already acting. It's already acting in the world, and I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful that you're doing this. I feel that. Or you can step out of the way of it is how it will happen. We're used to making an effort. We're used to trying, to do things. Well, I got to do this, and I have to do these things and build up and go to school and learn these things. And this is really the opposite of that. This is taking away. This is taking away what's getting in the way of it, because it is already here. It's like Michelangelo making a sculpture. He said, you know, I just need to remove the things that are not the sculpture. You know, he saw what was underneath all this solid rock, and he just removed the pieces that weren't there. And that's what we have to do in awakening, too. We're just removing. We're removing. We're not adding anything. What we want is all we can.
That is absolutely the truth, is that we are taking away, as I think I said that earlier, that it's really a dismantling process. Is there anybody else who would like to ask a question or to speak what's on our heart or mind?
How do I turn him off?
You want me? Somebody want me to mute something?
And then that's real savvy.
Please, my pleasure. Okay, great.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Hey, this is Carolyn.
Hey, Carolyn.
Hey, I just this past hour and a half, I've been feeling a lot of gratitude to you guys and also to everyone on this call. It feels so rare and precious what we're doing here. There is that tsunami, but there also aren't a whole lot of us. And I feel gratitude to you, Jeff, as a new teacher for me, and to Peter, who's been really, really by my side this last year. And it's really fun to see you, Peter. He's never seen me, but now I see him, and that's really fun.
Cool.
So that's what I've been feeling.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You went through you had a pretty good, well, in our texting or on the comments, I should say, on the in step one, there was quite a bit happening this week for you that seemed to be up and down. And where are you with that right now?
Kind of up and down. It was very helpful, the part about the spiritual ache. I identified it as what I called the Black River.
Yes.
And as I've been complaining to Peter, especially about a year ago, I had a lot of Black River, and it seems like a real impersonal thing that just comes out of nowhere. It doesn't really feel connected to thoughts about me.
Yes.
It just flows in, and there it is, and I never know when it's coming, when it's going. But identifying it was very good, and as I wrote to you, that night at the beach, after taking the dogs down, I felt this just like really big happiness come to me, and it's really up and down though.
Sure.
And I was listening to what you were saying to Maggie, and I was thinking, but you know, Maggie, I know Maggie. We go to Francis Lucille together, and Maggie does have a super tough situation, whereas I really don't. You know, I have a great life. I have none of those complaints, and I have no reason for a Black River. I can't say, like you were saying to Maggie, just accept this, you know, suffering that you're in, because there's nothing bad about my life. In fact, more and more I felt like I have no problems.
These are,
and yet the thing comes.
These are two different things. Everybody. If I may be so blunt, from what I could tell in speaking with both Maggie and in our interaction with comments, you guys aren't exactly in the same place on the path. No judgment, no right, no wrong. So your experience of spiritual ache is going to be different from someone else's experience of spiritual ache or someone else's experience of stress. And your response to it is going to be different. You've done already, you know what I'm talking about with this Black River and meeting it and being aware of it. However, I think that what you bumped into this past week is this impersonal quality to it. And I would agree with you there. There is sort of an impersonal quality when you get all the way down to the root of separation itself. There's an impersonal quality to it, oddly enough. This is how it showed up for me. as existential depression. I had a good childhood. I'm white, middle class, American, got every opportunity in the world, right? Yet I'm not happy in this life. What's up with that? What's up with that? And then I eventually burrowed down into it, and I discovered the same Black River, and the Black River is separation itself.
Yeah, I think you're right there. And when you termed it existential depression, that just made all the sense to me. And that is something I have felt all my life.
There you go.
Always. Yeah.
There you go. So no more therapy needed, no more drugs, no more whatever it is that we've used to ameliorate, to mollify, to put a Band-Aid on a broken leg. We're done with that. This is the thing that worked for me. I had that same Black River, that same broken leg, and god damn it hurt. And so it worked. This stuff worked. And I no longer have the Black River.
And isn't it a beautiful thing, having that? Because without having that, we could just stay in separation forever, you know?
That's
right?
true.
If we didn't have the pain, we could just say, like, oh, this is cool, I can do this, and we would never wake up. We'd be living in this holographic dream all our lives and never know what it was like to be fully awake and fully alive. And what a shame that would be. So this river is a blessing.
Absolutely.
This pain is a huge blessing.
It's
but also not in the moment. Afterwards, we look back and we go, "Oh my God, this never would have happened without that experience," and we're so grateful for it. Yeah.
And the same is true of Maggie's experience and everyone's experience, essentially, of difficulty, of pain. This is a learning realm. This is a learning realm. It ain't easy here. Buddha said it. Life is suffering. Life is suffering. So there's a real honesty that you got to find in yourself about that. It's not easy. It's not. And it's God knocking. All of these things that show up in our life as difficulty, as these things that we don't have control over, these things that go wrong, things that upset us, that push our button, etc. For the most part, it's God knocking. How clearly, how loudly God is knocking is another question. Because there's a difference between God knocking when you recognize it as existential depression, as separation itself, and then maybe you stubbing your toe one evening. I don't necessarily think that my son going to the hospital cutting his foot was some big spiritual event. Put it to you that way. On the other hand, it was a great lesson for him, and he'll learn from it. He won't wake up from it. But Black River, that is God knocking the loudest. Existential depression, that is God right up next to you, and guess what? Guess what? You're no longer going to be able to live your life without hearing God knocking.
There's no escape except for the right?
So acknowledging this for everybody here tonight, if you happen to be in this spot, and this is an urgent seeker, okay? This is a feeling state of an urgent seeker, of someone who is just fed up with this shit. If this kind of existential separation, you're really feeling it gnawing at you, there's good news in that. There's a way that you can back away from it ever so slightly and just see it as good medicine. Just see it as this is God knocking. This is the thing. This is the fodder for the growth of spiritual awakening. And this is the stuff that is used in the process. And boy, it ain't fun, and it doesn't make it any easier. But at least a little bit you can say, aha, oh right, I got involved in spiritual awakening teachings. This is why this is here. I asked for this. Oh, I see. So you can have that little bit of distance on it, and it makes it a little easier to cope with on a day-to-day basis while you watch it slowly evolve, germinate, take root, seed sprout out of the earth and blossom. And it will happen. A good.
It's our willing. It makes our willingness willing. You know, I mean, most of it is, all of it is really readiness and willingness. You know, it really comes down to that. But we resist so much. We have so little willingness to do this. Like Bruce had said, you know, there's two sides. There's one side that wants to wake up a lot, and there's another side that absolutely, desperately does not want to and will do anything to stop it, which is our thinking, our minds. Every step there's this fear. Oh my God, oh, everything will fall apart if I do that. It'll be the worst nightmare that could ever exist. And that's not so, but you believe it, and that can keep you from taking that courage. It takes courage to walk through that and say, anyway.
And let me say this too, just right off of what Peter was said there, is that not only is it in your mind, but those thoughts, those bits of fear, the part of you that doesn't want to do it, basically you repeat that mind stuff enough, and what happens? It sinks down into the emotional level of your being, and then it sinks into the bodily level. So you basically are walking around holding this shit in. How, you know, when you see somebody you can really tell is opinionated, is rigid in their thinking, and is narrow-minded. What's telling you that? It's not just their spoken language, it's their body language. It's their body language. So it's not, and this is, I think this is why I'm saying this, is that often we do think that it's just a matter of seeing through mind and just mind alone. Well, this mind has an insidious way of rooting itself in our emotional bodies and in our physical bodies. So we do, to a certain extent, have to go be present to those and love those and go into that attic with a flashlight and shine some light on those poor areas of our emotions and our bodies that have been hidden away and pushed away for so long.
And in that case, we have disease that comes in the body, cancer and things like that crop up because the mind has brought the things down into the body, lodged them in the body, continuously done that. And that's another gift for us to say, like, oh, you know, don't keep doing this, you know. This is like, I need to, like, start releasing. And amazingly enough, that is what these miracle, you know, healings come from, is from this removing that thought and then, you know, releasing the emotional body, the fears that are lodged in the body, and the body, you know, itself, releasing that, and then the body, the immune system and everything is allowed to work again, and it stops. But it's another message from God, you know. So I often see, as a healer, disease as being very much a message for people to say, you're really holding on to this thing, and, you know, this part that wants to awaken does not want that anymore. You know, so, you know, we work on that, and then the physical things happen very quickly once that other part is done. They're only a manifestation of this, all this other stuff.
Does anybody else have a question or comment?
I have to shut the door. My girlfriend is dancing in the other room. She's got the...
I can't hear it at all.
I can't hear it either.
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about all this.
Who's speaking?
Sheila.
Hey, Sheila.
Hey. Hi. I don't feel like I'm fighting it. I feel like I am just so ready and willing and able and so you know, not afraid.
Beautiful.
And yet, so none of this makes sense to me. I just don't understand why I can't get over the hump.
I don't know either. I've said this before, that you've got to leave a portion of this path in the hands of grace. And all of us that are on this call tonight are in different spots. And there might be that point. I think Lisa said last week that she was at this spot essentially where, like, why am I here? And this, do I need to sit with another teacher? Do I need to do this? And so you're sort of ambivalent about it. And so that, it's hard to say, but it's beautiful to have that courageousness and that resolve. And then really it's just a matter of grace and a matter of the fruit ripening. I wish I had a clear-cut answer for that, but I don't. And I don't think there ever will be. But I can say this, Sheila. I know that in my own experience that the one ingredient that, if I had to say, was the major ingredient for this person's spiritual growth and breakthrough, the one thing was courage. That was the thing that helped, that was the thing that really did it. And so courage, if you're willing to meet all of these boogeymen and to be, that's it. Stick with that courage. It will lead you far.
Yeah, for me, courage is like, just do it, you know. For me, I grew up afraid of everything. It's kind of not the easiest childhood. And in order to do anything, I had to just do it because I was afraid of everything. So I had to keep just doing it. And so that Nike ad, just do it, is sort of the way I go through everything. Okay, this is terrifying. You're jumping off the edge of a cliff. Just do it. And then you'd find, and then each time I found out there was nothing to be afraid of. What I was afraid of was actually this enormous blessing and this beautiful experience over and over and over again. But it was this feeling of like, okay, you're terrified. Just do it anyway. Just do it. That's kind of.
See, I don't feel like I'm afraid. I've had counselors tell me you're so courageous, and I've walked into spiritual meetings and had people say, I see an aura of courage around you, you know, and I feel like I'm a courageous person. I feel like I'm not afraid, but maybe I am. Maybe I'm kidding myself.
Well then, Sheila, if you are willing to stick your head on the chopping block, let's see what's there that's preventing you from awakening.
All right, then. I'm ready.
So then, let's talk about right now. What's happening right now?
I'm picturing my head on the chopping block, and I'm pulling close. I'm burying my neck for you. I'm making it so visible there. I'm like, cut it.
Okay.
Access.
All right. So let's go into that a little further because there's something here. There is this kind of end of the rope, end of the road angst. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got it.
All right. So there's this end of the road angst. I'm willing to literally put my head on the chopping block. Yes, just freaking cut it off. I'm sick and tired.
I'm just ready. I'm ready.
Right. So okay, let's go a little further. Let's go a little deeper here. So there's angst. There's I'm sick and tired. Alrighty. Is there a little bit of anger here, maybe?
Possibly. I tend to be anger-based.
Mm-hmm. So it might be some anger, and that's mixed in with this angst, and God damn it, just ends my life. I'm sick of this
Yeah.
shit.
There you go.
Yes?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so let's go a little further here. So now we're seeing this anger maybe as part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And this anger comes from maybe a little bit of unlove. Unlove?
Mm-hmm.
Right,
Probably so.
right. So we've got now angst, anger, unlove.
Mm-hmm.
And underneath that unlove is a little bit of
Pain and fear.
hopelessness, I would say. A little bit of hopelessness?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to just pause here 1 second. A little bit of sadness mixed in with this too?
Sure.
Right. Okay, so take a deep breath. And allow that cocktail of emotion to be here. And feel it from head to toe. Okay?
Okay.
So here's the deal. This is it. This is it. Sheila, there's nothing more outside of this experience right now. There's no enlightenment that's going to come and save your ass. There's no big self. There's no small self. There's no thing out there separate from who you already are that's going to come in and make you bigger or better or shinier.
Yeah, I took note when I heard you say that before.
So take a breath. And I'm asking you to take this breath, and everybody else too, because you're feeling not into just the body, but you're getting in touch with emotion, you're getting in touch with mind, and you're getting in touch with awareness itself every time you're doing that. So every time that you're doing that, you're noticing consciousness. So that what happens is simply by taking a breath, you can get back into unity. So you've, Sheila, again, this cocktail, okay, of angst, anger, sadness, hopelessness. Alrighty? This unworthiness, this unlove. That whole cocktail, stop fighting it. This feeling, okay, that you might be having, let me get a quick report from you. What are you feeling bodily right now?
Well, I feel extremely sad, and I do allow these feelings a lot, and I I tell myself, well, they're just feelings, and you can't go around feeling this all day long every day, so get on with it,
Okay. So.
But yeah, I don't have a problem embracing all these feelings.
So this I want to be clear for you and for everybody else on the call tonight here, that getting into, this is what Peter and I were talking about earlier about God knocking, okay? Just on the other side of this kind of anxious, hopeless, sad feeling, just on the other side of it is freedom. And freedom, paradoxically, even has a quality to it. If you notice that in doing this, the body relaxes, there's kind of a letting go of control. There's sort of even there can be, for many of you, sort of a collapse, sort of like this. It's just kind of a relaxation. And you'll notice that there's a sadness in that, but it's a beautiful sadness. It's a beautiful type of sadness. And here's the deal, as I said before, is that at some point or another, for all of us, you're going to run into this moment, okay? And you're going to want to push it away because that's a natural reaction. But the wise response is to allow it all to be here. And then what happens, strangely enough, is you will find that you're completely present with it and as it. And awakening is a lot closer than you think. All it is you coming back to the body, coming back to the unity of emotion, and being present right here and right now, and noticing consciousness completely clear. But usually for most of us, there's this little passageway that we got to go through to get there. This little passageway which usually involves that same cocktail of emotion, that same bodily, emotional, mental little funnel that you kind of go through. And it's not pleasant sometimes. It feels not pleasant. So this might be something to notice. It's not to say that I'm expecting you to all of a sudden wake up right now because we've done this little exercise. You can let that go. What a relief, right? I'm not going to put you on the spot.
Well, yeah. It feels like there's something bigger I need to do, though.
Okay.
And I guess that's what I need to let go of. I don't need to be more than I am right now.
I would say so. But this bigger, that there's something that you need to do. Sometimes that comes from truth, and sometimes it doesn't. And it can be confusing when you're this far down the funnel.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It can be confusing. Yeah. Like, am I seeking? Am I neurotically wanting? And I don't know that there's a complete answer to that other than this, Sheila, that the only thing that is going to finally and completely wash away this doubt and wash away that little confusion is awakening itself. It's sort of like when you get way down, you know, we've talked about going back and forth. Peter mentioned it earlier tonight too, where you have moments of opening and then moments of closing. But when you get way down into the funnel, this thing starts to happen. Where like you're like, do I want awakening? Am I pushing it away? Am I taking it? It feels like there's something bigger that I need, or is that my mind? You're driving yourself crazy. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's just what you need. That is just the thing that is going to rattle you and loose from the tree. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But you can only, here's the deal though, you can only get in touch with this strange paradoxical process if you allow yourselves to be honest, to notice this ache, to notice this pain, to go down through the funnel, through this angst on love, on worthiness, and to meet it right where it is. And then you're right up close, and you can, man, God is breathing right down your neck at that point. And then you're right up close and personal with it.
And so then how do you invite grace to come on?
You are inviting, dear, you are inviting grace. Everybody on this phone call tonight is inviting grace. This is how you do it. You try, and then you fail. You try some more, and then you fail. All of that's inviting grace.
Good to hear. Thank you.
You're welcome. We have probably just it's just a few more minutes till 9 o'clock. So if anybody else has anything that they want to add or make one last little comment, that'd be more than okay.
Thank you for that little process you just did. It was very effective.
You're welcome.
This is Elle.
Hey, Elle.
It's beautiful to be willing to, you know, put your head in the chopping block and open up. I mean, it's sort of, that is definitely an invitation to grace. You know, I can remember when I did that years ago, I just totally opened up and I asked God, you know, to like essentially take my life, you know, basically. What I really wanted was the stories and all that stuff to go, you know, it had nothing to do with the physical being at all. And just that willingness, you know, that surrender and that willingness and that asking brought this grace, you know. It put me on the tsunami, you know, on the riding on the tsunami, and it just pulled me along. So it's all surrendering. It's all this willingness, you know, the readiness and willingness. Once that's there, it will go. I mean, it can be confusing along the way, and that's really what Steph and I are here for, to help with the confusion. You're already on the already moving it, whether it feels like it or not, it is. Just the fact of showing up here is an indication of that, and grace is already working in you, with you, and it has been for a while already. You know, you can rest in that. It's happening. It's happening exactly in the perfect way for you. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, this whole universe is benign, you know, it's a blessing, and it's working for our favor. That's what evolution is. It's all working in your favor. As I say, there's a Zen story. The short line is that everything is for your benefit. Everything is for your benefit.
I couldn't hear the story.
What was benefit?
Sorry, I just cut to the chase. Everything is for your benefit.
No, I didn't hear any of the sentence. For some reason, your voice got really low.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, there's a Zen story. We don't have enough time to go through the whole story, but the end of it is everything is for your benefit. Everything.
Oh, thank you.
Everything that happens, the struggles, the difficulties, the frustrations, the I'm not going to make it, all of that is happening for your benefit.
Look at the kitty.
Look at the kitty.
This is Gypsy, the magic black cat.
Oh, very furry, too.
Wow. Alrighty, so thank you everybody for being here tonight. It's been such a pleasure being able to teach with Peter side by side. I mean, this is totally awesome. I'm really happy.
To see both of you, great.
Other people seeing two pictures side by side, is that?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
What do you?
Cool.
Yeah. So it's really great. So thank you. Thanks for everybody for showing up tonight, and keep up the good work. I will release step 2 tomorrow. Enjoy those. You can email me, make comments, anything along the way. We are here to help. I'm here to help. And
Next time I'll tell the story.
Yeah.
sounds good.
I know the story. I'll tell you, Maggie.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.